Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. The controversy around the ill-fated helicopter that crashed in West Pokot carrying 11 soldiers, including the CDF General Francis Ogolla, continues to draw mixed reactions, and more information is emerging on a last-minute move to swap that helicopter. And without much ado, I want you to take a minute and listen to this report that was compiled by NTV.
The late Chief of the Defense Forces, General Francis Ogolla, will be laid to rest on Sunday, the 21st of April 2024, at his home in Nia village in the county of Siaya. Defense CS Unanswered has announced that is according to the General's wish. There shall be a military honor ceremony at 1 p.m. tomorrow at the Ulinzi Sports Complex here in Nairobi before the General's remains are airlifted to Siaya. Meanwhile, some pertinent questions are being raised about the circumstances leading to Thursday's accident. Our senior specials and investigations reporter Ibrahim Karanja with the details.
The decision to bury the Chief of the Defense Force on Sunday, the 21st of April, just 3 days after he met his death through Thursday's chopper crash, though reported to be General Ogolla's wish, compounds the many questions on the circumstances surrounding the accident. It was expected that owing to Ogolla's stature and apex rank in the military, as well as the impact that Thursday's chopper crash had on the entire Kenya Defense Force fraternity, investigations would have gone to advanced stages before he is laid to rest. Defense CS Aden Duale said that a post-mortem examination was conducted at 11 a.m. Friday at the Mashujaa Funeral Home at the Defense Forces Memorial Hospital. But as the country struggles to come to terms with that crash, investigations into what might have led to the accident have kicked off. However, it is expected that the probe will not be an instant fix and may take between 6 months to well over a year before it is concluded and a report presented to the president. Be that as it may, there are other questions regarding circumstances before and during the accident. On the social media platforms, some pertinent questions are coming out, pointing to a conspiracy that may have claimed Ogolla's life. Claims that the general and his entourage were to use a different aircraft, which was abruptly swapped in the last minute so as to transport a senior government official. Other questions and speculations that are likely to go without answers include why only the military chief was on the ground to oversee the launch of classrooms in schools affected by banditry, yet the Operation Maliza Uhalifu is a multi-agency one between the Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of Interior. Other quotas argue that the assignment in the North Rift could have been done by any other low-ranking officer in the military. Ibrahim Karanja, and
From the NTV statement, it is very clear that the VIP, that the helicopter that the 9 soldiers used, including the General Francis Ogolla, was not the one he was supposed to use. And the question that many are asking, who is this senior most ranking officer of a state official in Kenya Kwanza that used the plane that was supposed to be used by the general? In the hierarchy of power, the closest to the CDF can only be the president and his deputy. But of course, the most powerful one is the president. But the president has official presidential jet, to the best of our knowledge, unless, if not, then it's clearly, he could use another one. Now, the same day, William Ruto was actually with his deputy in Nyeri, in Sagana State Lodge, to the best of our knowledge. And that's why when he received the call about the death of the general, he was somewhere in Sagana. This story about swapping of helicopter is very devastating, and it creates a new twist in this, so many questions that will still remain unanswered. Why was it the general had met the president on Tuesday, and President William Ruto mentioned about it when he visited the family in Riverside. So if it is presidential itinerary for the week, diary for the week, it was all known by both the teams. And I believe that if they met, they had already reconciled the two trips. Maybe they met just knowing that you will use this jet, me will use the other jet, and this and that. So the question that we need to ask is, who is in charge of General Ogolla's trip, or rather preparing for his trip? Who decides which plane he uses and which one not to use? Because then I analyzed yesterday that the scope of investigation must also cover internal preparations and the protocols on how the general flew with the 11 soldiers. And that is why this report by NTV that there was a last-minute change on which helicopter to use. There's a helicopter he was supposed to use, and it is understood that the one is used is actually substandard, is below. This ill-hated helicopter, this is not the first time it was falling. It has been falling. That is not its first time. It's been involved in so many accidents. It's been crashing. Even though it has never killed people because it's been crashing but not breaking into flames. But on this fateful day, it crashed and then broke into flames. So it points to one question. Who is this one person who decides that for this trip, use this as the other one goes? So that one is on the personnel that decides. Is it military? Is it state house? Is it a committee that is harmonized? Who is in charge of it? You understand very well that the general's personal PA is someone called Major General Kip Kemoi, and he was not in that plane. So he did not fly with his boss. But then that is the first question on who decides, who swapped. Then the second one is, who is this state officer that is more powerful, or rather that used the plane that the general's itinerary was supposed to use? Who is he? And this question is very critical because it points to the overstretched state resources, aircrafts. The same day, Maliza Uhalifu general is traveling, is flying with 11 soldiers to West Pokot on Maliza Uhalifu. That is the same day, to the best of my knowledge, that a politician is flying. Where was he going? Was his trip more necessary and more important than what the general's itinerary was going to do in Turkana and West Pokot and Baringo? These questions are very pertinent because if there is something that Kenyans are waiting, I saw that investigation might come after 6 months. I don't even know whether the country will be waiting for all that long, because the more they give that space, the same fellows that are investigating are the same fellows that will leak out some of those preliminary reports they are getting. So I wish they give bit by bit. For example, if there's a last minute swap that used this plane and not this other one, then was it even checked? Was it checked, the status of the plane, of the helicopter that General Itinerary were using, was even scrutinized that it was in good state? Because if it was a last minute swap, I understand the helicopter that the general used was actually parked in Wilson Airport, which is against the norm, and that is why Kalonzo Musyoka was talking about the breach of the protocols. So if it was swapped, was it maintained? But even much away from that, I believe that the CDF should have a personal or a more watertight, a closer team, the team that will have a close range look on helicopter he's going to use. because there seems to be some negligence. Even if a decision has been made that the general's team are not going to use this helicopter and going to use that other one, who is in charge of making sure that the engine, flyers, and everything, the wings, everything is fine? Because I listened to statement recounted by first responders, and what those first responders are saying is that when it came down, the wings were not rolling as usual. In fact, the wings were just standing. It just came down. The wings were not rolling. I think that's what the first responder said there. So if there was a mechanical hitch on that plane, then was it really detected? So that points to the question of military resources being used by state officers. And that has deprived, and in fact, I think from this, apart, what that investigation must also come out is a very strict regulation on military resources being used by those state officers. The issue here is, the reason why they go for military aircrafts is because they believe they are most secure. Even in terms of maintenance, they are well maintained. They are well maintained. So that's why they go for them. But if they're the ones falling down with the generals, then they're bringing the generals down in that manner. Then do you want to tell me that there will still be trust? And the other third bit is, if there was a swap, does it mean that there are no enough VIP aircrafts in the country? Or we have too many VIPs? Does it mean we don't have enough VIP aircrafts in the country? Because if that's a question, then that's when we should also look at other things that are needed to be done. So guys, so many questions will still remain unanswered. But this one then has been added into the new twist after the helicopters killed the general. Thank you.